I ended up in the hospital in Sri Lanka for what I thought was going to be 3 days and ended up being a full week. So welcome to part 2 of my dengue fever story. When I arrived at the hospital, I started having more severe dengue symptoms. So between days 3 and 7 of dengue, this is where it can get critical and your blood count can potentially drop below 50, which is potentially fatal. So the first thing they did was check my vitals, and then they brought me in for an x-ray. Now at this point, I'm getting really dizzy. I can't even stand up. So they made me lie down for the x-ray, which was fine. So after the x-ray, they brought me for an ultrasound. And then I started feeling really, really cold, like absolutely freezing. They had to turn the AC off in the hospital and get me a blanket. I was so cold. So they then wheeled me to the room I would spend the next week in. And it was actually grand, to be fair. I didn't know what to expect. So it had like a bathroom, which I wasn't able to use. I'll get into that later. And then it had a TV, it had like a spare bed, a fridge, like AC, which I also didn't use. But it was very clean and it was fine for like the week for the time I was there. So they checked my vitals again and then did another blood test and put me on an IV drip and gave me antibiotics and all the medication I would need to get me through the night. And they also gave me like a piece of paper with like a chart that I had to fill out. So I wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom because obviously I'm on a drip and they need to monitor your fluid intake and output. So I was given this like bottle of TMI to go to the bathroom, and it was so like it was difficult. Like it was like a skill in itself because like I had a drip in one hand, my blood's out the other arm. Like I couldn't stand up. For 4 days, it was so difficult. Like I honestly don't know how I managed to do it. So by the time everything was done on my first night in the hospital, it was so late and I was so exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. I don't think I slept a wink in that hospital for the whole week because the first night, like my body aches had gotten so much worse to the point where like my bones hurt, like everything hurt. And I was so restless and I just couldn't get comfortable in the bed. Like it wasn't like beds in Europe where you can adjust the back or anything. It was completely flat. I drip on one arm, then my other arm was bruised from the bloods, and I just could not, for the life of me, get comfortable in that bed at all. And at this point, I'm having more severe dengue symptoms, so I started having like a full body rash. So my whole body was red and itchy, and that was driving me crazy as well. So like I couldn't sleep at all. And then you have people coming in every couple of hours checking your vitals. So you'd start to nod off and then you would wake up again. So it was just not good. And honestly, the first 3 days in the hospital were just awful. The doctors and nurses took such good care of me. I was getting my bloods taken twice a day. I was getting scans twice a day. I was getting monitored regularly. Like they were constantly in and out checking my vitals, checking whether drinking enough water. Like they just couldn't do enough for me. So over those first 3 days, my fever kept spiking, my blood count kept dropping. Honestly thought like I'm not getting out of this hospital. Like I kind of thought lights out, like that's it. I just didn't seem to be getting better. Like one minute I thought I was better, and then I just really, really wasn't. And then there was like a turning point on like the third day, me being in the hospital. I think it was the third day, and my blood count started to rise again. And I thought, yes, great, I'm gonna get out of here on Monday. My blood count is on the way up. But that did not last very long because 12 hours later, when I had my next blood test, my blood count had dramatically dropped very close to 50. It was like 53, and at that point I was very, very scared. I wasn't getting out of the hospital anytime soon. And all I wanted was, a comfy bed, a shower, actually be able to use the bathroom, brush my teeth. Like I just wanted comfort. And I was so fed up of this roller coaster of feeling better, not feeling better, and like up and down. And I think I just spent like the whole time crying. To be too dramatic, but that whole experience just completely broke me because I was so scared. Like I honestly didn't know if I was going to get better or if I was not going to get better. Like it was very, very scary. And like I had no appetite at all. So I'd barely eaten in a week. And I just wanted something nice to eat, but I couldn't eat anything. And I was so weak. So I was just watching Netflix on my phone, like for days. And then I got to the point where I was actually bored of Netflix because I don't watch Netflix that much because I'm always so busy. And I was actually bored and I just wanted to get out of the hospital bed. Like I just wanted to see the sunshine, go to the beach, like just do something that wasn't lying in a bed for a week. Now by day 5, my blood count started rising again after dramatically dropping. And I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I was hoping I would get out at that point. But the doctors were still like, no, we're going to keep you in for another day at least, just to make sure your blood count keeps rising and it doesn't dramatically drop off the face of the earth again. So on day 8, which was Christmas Eve morning, my blood count finally made it over 100, and I actually saw a light at the end of the tunnel and thought, great, I'm going to get out of here today. They gave me more medicine, antibiotics, and did another scan. I was told to wait until the evening because they were going to do my bloods again just to make sure they were still getting closer to 150. On my last blood test that day, my blood count was up again. It was still not over 150, but it was at a level that they were like happy with that I could actually leave the hospital. They gave me another antibiotic drip before they were going to discharge me and give me loads of medicine I would have to take for nearly another week, which was fine. I was just so happy at this point to be like finally getting out of the hospital because I was so fed up of just staring at 4 walls, not sleeping in a comfy bed, not having good food, not having a shower, not washing my hair. I was just so happy to just get to my accommodation. And this is where things take a dramatic turn, and I was in fact not allowed to leave the hospital on Christmas Eve. So make sure you come back for part 3 where I will tell you why I had to spend another night in the hospital.